Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Captain Laserguns. I am joined with Mr. Luke Carroll. Say your name, Mr. Luke Carroll.
Oh, you already said it, but Mr. Luke Carroll is my name. Surprise, surprise, I'm here.
You get two introductions on this podcast, and welcome
Yes.
to the greatest online show on the planet. We started this off as, you know, it was a gaming podcast, and now this week,
In our
it's
third
turned
episode, we've
into
branched off into something new.
a theme park podcast. So
Yeah.
this week we're going to be talking about theme parks, mainly because when we did start this podcast, we did say that we would be talking about tech and other things that we really enjoy. And Luke and I are both very avid theme parks enthusiasts.
Yes.
I'm not even sure if avid's the right word to use there.
Yeah, I think it is. And also, there is an exciting announcement, which for the first time is being made in this podcast that has to do with theme parks. But maybe we should leave that for a little bit later.
Okay, so you'll have to tune in. And we won't tell you exactly.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, we won't tell you exactly when we're going to announce it, but we're going to start with talking about some of the theme parks in Australia. So, would you like to talk about the first one, SeaWorld Gold Coast, Australia, which was originally called the SeaWorld Nara Resort?
Yes, but apparently the SeaWorld Resort part is still called SeaWorld Resort, but now it's just called SeaWorld Gold Coast, Australia. Has nothing to do with SeaWorld in America, so don't get all hashtag blackfish on us.
That's one of the things that's actually annoyed me. That whole blackfish thing is about all of the SeaWorlds in America. And SeaWorld in America is all about the blackfish, the killer whale.
Yeah.
SeaWorld in Australia has no killer whales.
Like, we literally have dolphins and seals, and that's about it.
I think we also have a few other fish. But anyway,
We have, like,
keep
rays
talking
and
about
sharks.
about
But
SeaWorld
anyway,
Gold Coast.
I had recently gone to SeaWorld, and there was about to be a brand new roller coaster open there, which wasn't open. So that made me a little bit bummed out. But SeaWorld it's a marine park. It's got some decent rides. It's got generally what we'd understand as family attractions more than anything.
You could call it sort of like an aquarium plus.
Yeah.
It's got those thrills and it's got those awesome rides, but at the same time, it's more focused on the animals and the sea creatures and all of that, instead of being more focused on rides, sort of.
Which is understandable, I mean, on the Gold Coast. We'll obviously talk about it a bit later, but there is a theme park owned by the same company that is pretty much thrills.
Yeah. I just want to point out that this is the first time we're actually trying this new system of recording the podcast. We're recording through Skype at the moment, so if we sound a little bit disconnected at any times, blame that on the internet connection and
Bloody
not on us
Australia.
just not knowing what to say. Anyway, so SeaWorld opened in 1975, and I'm fairly certain it was just a few sort of fish and a log flume.
And it had something to do with the train, didn't it?
I think so, actually.
The
It
train
says here
was the first ride in Australia or something.
the train is a 2/3 scale replica of Queensland's famous number 6A10, which is now on display on the Queensland Rail Museum. The ride was designed and built by SeaWorld. Surprisingly, the first ride didn't open until 1978, which is the log flume.
3 years later. The interesting thing with the railway is the railway is no longer there.
Really?
However, the track is still there, and you can't walk across the track, which creates for a lot of bottlenecks in the park that don't necessarily need to be there. A lot of Australian theme parks need to take some advice from the American parks, which is have a centralized hub. SeaWorld, Movie World definitely come to mind with you walk through them, there's only one way you can go. You hit the back of the park, and then you come to the front. There's no hub that branches off, you just go from one world to the next.
The problem with that is it definitely limits how you feel throughout the day. You sort of work your way up to the back, then you get to the back and you're like, well, why am I here? Whereas with the other parks in America, you sort of don't have an end. I guess
you could go around and around all day, in theory. Well, the thing is, if you ever go to the Australian theme parks, because of the way they're designed, go to the back and work your way forwards.
It'll definitely make things better, but what's the reason for that?
The back forward or the
back forward?
Well, everyone, if we talk about SeaWorld, it's not exactly the same as, say, Movie World, which we'll talk about a bit later, but everyone, so you're at the front of the line, you're going to go to the biggest, most exciting looking ride first, right?
Yeah.
If that's at the front of the park, everyone's going to rush there. So if you go to the back of the park and work your way opposite, everyone else is going to be at the front of the park going on the big things and slowly working their way back. So you'll actually avoid the crowds if you do it the opposite to everyone else.
So That actually makes sense. At first, I was sort of like, what are you going on about there? But that actually makes a lot of sense considering that it is sort of just that one way, and people will just naturally do that. When you go to a theme park, the first thing you want to do is that some big thing, that really exciting thing that stands out.
You can generally see it from the car park. That's what you want to do. You know? The big ride that is
that massive ride that you can see for a few miles away, and you get really close and you're like, yes, I am ready.
This is theme parks.
Anyway, so the reason why we're talking about SeaWorld first is because we're actually going here in a few days.
A week from filming, we will almost be there.
Okay, so today's Thursday. Yeah, we will. We will be there.
In literally a week and 12 hours, we will be at SeaWorld.
Oh, that's super exciting. I'm really excited. Luke and I are both
riding the Storm Coaster together.
Luke and I are both huge theme park fans, so this is very exciting for us. However, Luke holds a more dear part in his heart for the Disney parks, and as do I. Oh. But definitely, I think that the Australian parks do well for the amount of money that comes in from them, because there isn't much money that comes in to the...
Well, you look at how much money they make in a year, and it's quite minimal, and then they put in a coaster like Storm Coaster costing $18 million, when they're barely making that in a year.
Which is good. It means they're putting everything that they get back into the park, whereas there are some other parks in Australia which don't do that, and you can definitely tell the lack of
we'll be talking about them a little bit later. But SeaWorld, I'm pretty sure you'll know what it is, Dom, but what is the thing you're most excited for at SeaWorld for our trip?
Storm Coaster's the new coaster that's recently been opened in SeaWorld. It was opened...
first ever what are they called? Water coaster.
Water coaster.
So, roller coaster tracks and a water car. Smash them together. That's what you got.
It's one of the few in the world, actually, and I'm fairly certain it works different to how some water coasters work. Some water coasters just work as in they drop going to the water, but they're still on their track. This one, I'm fairly certain, floats in the water and then connects to the track, goes up, follows the roller coaster track, and then starts floating in the water after the drop again. It's
a bit different in the way that it actually has a traditional lift hill, where the other ones I've been on, the Atlantis at SeaWorld San Diego, used a lift system.
A vertical lift system?
Yeah.
So it's sort of like an elevator?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wait, you've been to SeaWorld in Orlando?
No.
San Diego?
San Diego,
yes. I didn't know that. I thought you just went to the Disney parks while you were over there.
No,
and
I've been to
Universal.
Disney, Six Flags, Magic Mountain, and Universal.
Okay, so you definitely know your theme park things.
The California theme park guy.
Ooh.
California.
Anyway, they have the best theme parks. Anyway, should we move on to Movie World?
Now, the next park we're going to be doing on our big, exciting holiday is Movie World. Now, this is personally my favorite ride. This is my favorite theme park on the Gold Coast. Dom, you said you haven't been there for quite a while.
I haven't been there in about 15 years. The last time I went there, I was only like 5 years old. So really, I don't remember much. I can sort of get glimpses of a bit of the theming and scenery. I think there's one very vivid memory I have of a Looney Tunes ride. It was sort of like a log flume type of thing.
That's not there anymore.
That's gone.
It's one of those things that's been closed without a replacement. A replacement was announced, meant to open at the end of last year, and we just haven't heard anything about it for ages.
That's really upsetting. Because I was kind of hoping that would still be there so I could sort of figure out where this memory has come from. But now I've just got this stray memory stuck in my head, just wandering around.
It was a very, very strange ride, let's just say that, to say the least. But Movie World on the Gold Coast is going to be what people are probably going to understand as a roller coaster park. For example, there's 5 coasters in this park, which may not sound like much for some of the American parks.
In Australia, that is huge for especially one of the Village Roadshow parks, because how it works in Australia is you have the 3 main parks, Movie World, SeaWorld, and Wet n Wild, and they're basically all connected. I guess you could almost think of it as sort of like a Disney World system. They're all part of the Village Roadshow theme parks ownership, and you can just buy the one ticket, $99 for a year, and you can just jump between the parks. There isn't any sort of set transport, but it's very similar to how it works.
They're about the furthest 2 apart are SeaWorld and Movie World, and they're about half an hour to 45 minutes
which is
away.
a fair distance.
Yeah,
but then
compared
you've
to
got Movie
Disney on
World
property, yeah.
and Wet and Wild, which are right next to each other, and they're
To each
both
other.
very good parks.
Yeah.
You can definitely spend a few days at those alone.
Now, Movie World, when we're talking about the big coasters, we've got one family coaster in the Scooby-Doo Spooky Coaster. We've got a kids coaster in the Looney Tunes coaster. But there's 3 big coasters. We've got the Arkham Asylum, which is a suspended Vekoma, so you're hanging beneath the track. Then we have the Superman Escape,
Yep.
0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 2 seconds.
Oh, that's probably the one I'm most excited for.
Yeah, that's what I really, really enjoy at Movie World. It's just that feeling of being pulled. But if we're talking about something fast, we'll talk about something else a little bit later, which is a bloody lot faster than that.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll also, the other one is going to be the new one, which is the Green Lantern coaster, which includes the first drop of more than 90 degrees.
And luckily, when we were planning our trip, we found out that the Green Lantern was actually going to be closed for scheduled maintenance, but for some reason, the gods of theme parks have shined their light upon us and have set back that time so that it opens on the 10th, I think.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah.
It
so
closes on the 10th. The 10th is the last day, and the 10th happens to be the day we're going to Movie World.
So we will be there in time for it to open, which is awesome because
has
hopefully they do something cool to it. Maybe add some more scenery, or maybe it's just general
the theming
maintenance,
is quite
which will make us a little bit more safe if it's just general maintenance.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be good.
The max vertical angle on that ride is 120 degrees.
That is disgusting.
Usually you'll hit about 70 on a normal roller coaster.
And that 120. So that's more than
Yes, you go
Straight down.
around
ooh.
rather than drop. You could sort of go around. Some other interesting things they have is they have a Justice League Alien Invasion.
That sort of works.
interactive-
It sort of works similar to the shooting gallery at Disneyland, the Buzz
Yeah, like the
Lightyear's
Buzz
Astro
Lightyear.
Blaster.
The ride is touted as the world's first Justice League themed ride.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well received. It's quite fun. As the one at Disneyland is, rewritability is right up there.
Yeah.
Hollywood Stunt Driver. An amazing stunt show I saw when I was there in September. Not going to be open. when we're there.
They've closed it down to start up a new stunt show, the Hollywood Stunt Driver 2.
2. That opens on the 20th, though, and we leave on the 14th.
It's sort of, you sort of just want to go back there. We have our year-long passes. We could just sort of
Yes.
go on a weekend trip back there. It's surprisingly cheap to get to the Gold Coast.
Yeah, about $100 return.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah.
The Scooby-Doo Spooky Coaster in Movie World is sort of the first step that we have to a themed dark roller coaster, isn't it?
Yes.
In the Australian parks.
But it only has a very short part at the beginning of the ride, and then essentially after that, say, maybe a minute, it goes up a lift hill and then becomes a dark wild mouse, essentially.
It's just,
But it has
it's a
the
typical
background part. Yeah.
wild mouse. I've seen pictures of it with the lights on, and it really does not do it justice. As with any indoor dark ride, if you have the lights on, everything looks terrible. Even
Don't do it.
even the perfect Disney rides and that, the Haunted Mansion with the lights on looks pretty atrocious.
Yeah. But this is the second park we're going to do, and in my opinion, it's a park I'm most looking forward to. We're also going on the steepest water drop flume ride in the Southern Hemisphere. Don't know what it officially is, but it's a lot of fun. It's one of my favourites, Wild West Falls. Now, I know you haven't been on it.
I haven't, and if I have, I do not remember it. Actually,
fun.
judging by the time here, 1998, it probably wasn't open when I first went there. I remember the Viking, Viking flume ride from SeaWorld, but I don't remember Wild West Falls, so that'll be something exciting. There's actually a lot I can see here of the list of attractions which are opening. A lot of them weren't open when I last went there.
Yeah, so it should be exciting for you. Wild West Falls, of course, named after the amazing movie Wild Wild West.
With Will Smith, which went
Yeah.
tragically well.
Yeah, so I think that would be a pretty good time to jump onto the next coast, the next park we're doing, which is going to be Wet and Wild.
And it is very wet and wild.
Now, I've actually been
Sorry.
I'm just ignoring it. I've actually been to Wet and Wild on the Gold Coast before, but I've also been to Wet and Wild in Hawaii.
Really?
By the same company, yeah.
There is a Wet and Wild in Hawaii?
Yes, it was very quiet. No joke, there was probably less than 100 people in the whole park the day I went.
That's crazy.
Everything was a walk-on.
Do they have any sort of big theme parks in Hawaii, or is it all just about the
Yeah.
Hawaii, I guess?
Yeah, that's probably the biggest park they had.
Okay. I know there's a Disney resort in Hawaii,
Yes,
but I didn't know
it
that
is.
there was a Wet and Wild. Are they owned by the same company, the Wet and Wild?
Yep. It was already a Wet n Wild theme park. It was already a water theme park, which was then bought out by Wet n Wild.
Ah, okay. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, yeah, there's Wet and Wild Las Vegas and
Owned by the same company again.
Wet and Wild Waterworld in the Gold Coast. Wet and Wild Sydney. Oh, yeah, there's obviously that one. That one opened recently.
Yeah.
Much to a lot of people's dismay in the Sydney area, because apparently it hasn't been going that well.
Yes.
And
it's worrying me.
it's-
I'm glad we're going to the Gold Coast one.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about the Gold Coast one. Though Wet and Wild really is just a typical water park. There's nothing that makes it stand out.
Yeah.
It's a good park and people really like it, but it's just,
water park.
Yeah, it's a water park. There's not much you can do with a water park except for maybe theming. Theming's the only thing that can make your water park stand out, sort of like Blizzard.
know At Wet n Wild happens to be the other member of Well Played, Casey. The ride he's most scared of on the entire Gold Coast happens to be at Wet n Wild.
Really?
Yes, the Aqua Loop.
What is it?
Let me just
the
read-
Aqualoop.
Yes, so let me give you a little rundown. You have a little, board on your back strapped on. You're loaded into a launch chamber. Stand there with your hands across your chest, and at a random time, a trapdoor will open below you, and you will drop vertically down 16 meters. You then go 60 kilometers an hour before doing a loop-de-loop, and then hitting the splashdown pool. Everyone's saying it is the most intense ride on the Gold Coast.
That sounds terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do it, but it sounds fun at the same time. The thing that terrifies me about it is the fact that you don't know when that trapdoor is going to
Yes.
open.
Oh,
Have you been on it?
no.
Really?
No, I haven't.
Well, you're gonna
I'm
have to
looking
go on
forward
it.
to it. Yeah. Oh, there's 3 parks that I will do everything at, and 1 park I probably won't do everything at.
And which one will that be?
Dreamworld.
Dreamworld is basically our equivalent of a Six Flags, I guess you could say. It's sort of that semi-mildly themed thrill park. It's
They focus on the thrills more than the theming of the theme park.
definitely... They have their eventual themes, but it's nothing spectacular. It's sort of a little bit
The
lackluster.
thing they have, what they in Australia is, what do they call it? The 7 or 8 big thrill rides or something they call it.
I think it's the 8 or the 9.
Yes.
It's one of those.
The big 8 thrill rides, which we'll just quickly go through them. Pandemonium, doesn't look fun. Just a spin and spew. Buzzsaw, a looping coaster that only does it once.
I'm kind of
continual
excited
loop
for that
coaster.
one.
It'll be interesting. It's something I haven't experienced before. The Cyclone, and decent roller coaster. Wipeout is a top spin. The Claw, a spinning... I can't remember what they're called, but it's pendulum, and seats are on the outside of a ring. Mick Doohan's Moto Coaster. One of those weird lay-down motorbike coasters that are terribly uncomfortable. And here's the 2 we all know and love or hate. The Tower of Terror 2 and the Giant Drop. Now, if we're going to talk about Dreamworld, those are probably the 2 things we're going to talk about.
Okay, so to the Tower of Terror 2, you probably have that picture in mind of the Tower of Terror, the Disney ride. The Tower of Terror 2 at Dreamworld is a little bit different in the terms that this one is terrifying and it goes 160 kilometers an hour up a
in
vertical
7 seconds.
height.
To 100 meters or so.
That's terrifying. It is similar to the Superman Escape in Six Flags for Magic Mountain, for the people in America who have no idea what a vertical shuttle coaster is. It
Let's
basically
put it-
goes really fast and then up.
Let's put it in perspective. It is the third tallest roller coaster drop in the world, and the fourth fastest roller coaster in the world.
Considering the first fastest roller coaster is 240 kilometers an hour, which
Yeah.
is disgusting. I think it goes to show how fast this is and how fast engineers don't want their rides to go.
It hits a limit where it's too much. You couldn't do much faster on this style of ride.
It's got a maximum of 4.5 Gs and
That's
6.5 seconds of
disgusting.
weightlessness.
Yeah.
That is huge.
That's pretty much everything people ask for in a ride, and is something I'm absolutely scared of. Because the original version, you couldn't see so you sat forwards and you went up facing the top of the tower. That was fine. I couldn't see how tall I am, how high up I was. This time, they've flipped it around so you're facing the ground, and now you plummet 100 meters towards the ground.
That sounds awesome. I've got to say, this is probably one of the ones I'm looking forward for the most. Just because, I don't know, I love things that go fast. Ever since I went on the Scream In at Disney's California Adventure, that feeling of just being pushed and launched.
You'll love Superman then. Very tall. I'm very afraid of heights.
You don't want to do the giant drop, do you?
Nope. If there's one ride on the Gold Coast I won't do, it is the giant drop. I am deathly afraid of heights, and hey, if the giant drop launched you up like the Batwing does at Movie World, that would be cool by me. But the fact that it takes you up to 120 meters in the air and pretty much leaves you hanging there for 30 seconds before it drops you, not something that I'm really into.
It's a vertical ride. All it does is go vertical and it lasts 90 seconds. That is the terrifying thing about it.
And I believe it's about 81 seconds. No, 81 seconds of that is the lift, and 4 seconds of that is the brake. So it's 5 seconds of pure freefall at 135 kilometers an hour down 110 meter drop.
I think, though, that's what
Vertical.
makes it stand out, that terrifying feeling of just slowly rising. Like, I know I've been on a few rides like this, but they rise a lot faster and they drop you as soon as you get to the top. I think this one prides itself on that feeling of just sitting there, not knowing when it's going to drop. You can sort of feel it from the videos I've looked of this ride. It jars a little and then drops. But I guess when you're up, 120 meters in the sky, you sort of don't have time to think about little tiny things like a little jar in the coaster. So you get a bit terrified up there.
Well, for 14 years, this was the world's tallest vertical drop ride.
14 years?
Yeah, from 98 when it opened to 2012 when the Lex Luthor Drop of Doom. Which is weird because now at Six Flags Magic Mountain they have pretty much the same thing as us. A giant drop on one side and the vertical launch coaster on the other.
But they have two towers for theirs in Six Flags Magic Mountain. I'm fairly certain from what I know, one goes backwards and one goes forwards. That just seems like the logical thing to me, but maybe they both go backwards. I'm not too sure. That's just, I don't know. I feel that would be logical, but I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up.
Interestingly, when the ride first opened, there was two different sides of the giant drop, and both of them were a different ride experience.
Really?
On one side, it dropped a little, hit some brakes, slowed down, and then dropped the full way. The other side did what it does now, which is just drop completely. For some reason, they removed it, and now they're both exactly the same.
Huh. That's weird.
Yeah.
Wait, so there are two sides to the ride?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't actually know
up.
that. I thought it was just one side.
No, it goes up both
Okay.
sides of the Dreamworld Tower.
Well, that'd make sense, because that would definitely increase the capacity and use up space. Is there any reason as to why there isn't another one on the fourth side?
I'm imagining it would have something to do with the force that the Tower of Terror just pushes on the other side of the coaster.
Yeah. I guess that would sort of be pretty terrifying, having a coaster come up from behind you, pushing on that tower, and then just going,
Well, from what
leaning
I've
forward.
heard, you can feel when it goes up the tower as it is.
Yeah, the
like
entire
sideways.
shower? I mix shaped and tower. The entire tower shakes. That just sounds terrifying to me.
Yeah. A lot of fun. But Dreamworld, we're scared of it, and we're also a little bit annoyed at it.
It's sort of, when you explain it, it's one of those things that we shouldn't be too annoyed about it. But on their website, they have a structure in which they say that their tickets start at like $59.95, but for an adult, it actually costs $89.95. So we got really excited. We're like, yeah, Dreamworld, and then we went on there.
Unlimited World Pass. So this is unlimited
for a year
for 12 months. $79.99. Wow, that's cheap. That makes sense. There's two theme parks at Dreamworld, and 3 at the other one. So $80 kind of makes sense until you go to their website,
and it's like $120.
An extra $30, and then they charge you a booking fee.
That sort of made us go, So we've ordered all our other stuff. That's the only thing we're basically going to get on the day. We're sort of going to rock up there and grudgingly go, give us our ticket. I guess we'll have fun now.
If we must have fun. There's also another park adjoined to Dreamworld, Whitewater World. It's sort of the little brother of Wet n Wild. It's nothing spectacular.
It's a water park. That's all it is.
If you go on their rides part on their website, it says they have 7 rides.
Does it?
Mm-hmm.
Are they fun?
Nope. It does have Australia's only hydro coaster though.
It makes sense. Like, Dreamworld is not connected to the other 3 parks, so it makes sense for them to build a water park to sort of try and generate more revenue and
resort.
Yeah, make it a bit of a different experience. However, it also does make sense in the fact that they could have used that money on much more needed things, like updated theming and updated rides, because Dreamworld for a while there was a fair competitor as the Australian Disneyland, but then
Everyone
sort of
loved Dreamworld, and then they just stopped caring, essentially.
That's what I've heard from a lot of people. Personally, I haven't been there, so I can't judge it myself, so these opinions aren't of well-playeds, or you've been there soon, so these are of you. But from what I've heard from people, the upkeep and all of that is a little bit disappointing, and the theming is a little bit dilapidated. So there are a few things that they could easily change, but haven't
just
for some reason.
A nice lick of paint. This is how it goes. I've been to Disney parks, so I know what it's like. I don't expect Disney park level, but Movie World is lovely, clean. It doesn't look run down. That's all we're asking for. You're getting that much money, your park shouldn't look run down.
Definitely.
Especially parks where you're trusting your life in the maintenance side of things. Don't you want it to look like there's some maintenance being done?
I guess it's one of those things where they feel that they're saving money by not updating those things, where at the same time they're also losing money from people going, well, they don't care, so why do they care about me? Whereas I feel that if they just spent that money and put it on that upkeep, then people would be a lot more excited about going there. Even if they just took a month out of the year and said, Dreamworld is closed, we're just
or even if they just
everything.
Went, okay, so there's not going to be any huge new rides this year, but this year we're going to put all that money, 20 mil, that we're going to build a new ride and make the park good.
Yeah, update theming, put more theming on other rides. I even noticed on some of the POVs of the Tower of Terror 2, some of the lights weren't working. Just things like that you just sort of go, ooh.
For example, like the newest thing they put in was a Pandemonium, which is a Zamperla air race type of thing. They spent, I can't remember how much money they spent on that, but it was maybe like close to 10 million. But it's just a classic spin and skew, which if they had saved up for 2 years, they could have had something as good as the Storm Coaster.
Which we haven't ridden yet. So probably after we get back from the parks,
maybe there'll be another podcast.
I think we should definitely do a Disney podcast at some point where we talk about Disneyland and all that, because we're theme park enthusiasts.
You don't understand.
And we would love to do this as a job, just talk about theme parks and go to theme parks and all that. Unfortunately, we just don't have the resources and the money to head over to those parks.
Yeah, it's hard living in Australia when you're a theme park enthusiast. It really is.
My dream would be to go over to somewhere like Tokyo Disney and be able to do a podcast while at one of those resorts and just sort of walk down, come back, talk about that for the day. I think that would be awesome. And just video and vlog and all of that.
Yeah. What we should do at the Gold Coast theme parks, keep all our viewers entertained, is at the end of each day, we should film 5 minutes at the park, what we thought about each day. At the end of the week, edit all that into a nice 20, 30-minute video, what we thought of our days at the theme parks.
I think you could even do that in, like, our day in 60 seconds. Like, just go through
at the end of each day
a few things that we did, because I'm going to be filming like crazy. I'm going to have 2 separate memory cards. I'm going to have 130, not 130 hours. I'm going to have 1.5 hours of footage to fit on my Canon 600D. So
yeah, me too. So
it's
2 Canon 600D.
We're going to have a lot of footage, and we're going to be very excited. I've actually contacted SeaWorld and Movie World to see if I can get permission to film on the rides.
Because we have a GoPro with us as well.
And so hopefully I get that permission from them. They haven't gotten back to me, so if they don't get back to me by the time there, I'm just sort of going to be like, I'm going to try and get on there. I've gone through all of their terms and conditions. It doesn't actually say anything about it. So hopefully I can get there and be able to record on the rides. And if not, I'll just be like, hey, I'm a big deal on the internet.
We've had a pretty decent time talking about theme parks. As a quick wrap up to this video, I think what we'll do is quickly talk about what you guys at home can expect from our Dream World theme parks, whatever you want to call it, trip. So next week, when we're actually in the theme parks, or the week after, normal videos will continue, so DLC, World Plays will go up.
They're already uploaded now, aren't they?
Shh, secret.
You're very organized compared to me. I sort of just wing it.
So those will go up, but also we have internet at our accommodation, so if it's decent, we might put up some quick vlogs whenever they're necessary. But the week after we get back, that's going to be the exciting week. Because for the first time ever announcing it, I'm sure we'll put up a little 30-second video explaining this later, but you guys are the best. You sat through the entire podcast, so you're the first to know that there will be an entire week of very special episodes of DLC coming up the week we get back from the theme parks, which I believe is going to be the Monday the 17th to Friday the 21st of February. Now, these aren't going to be video game DLCs, but Dom, give us an example of what one of the DLCs might be.
Eating spaghetti.
Yep. Or, more specifically, things that we're going to do at the Gold Coast. So maybe we'll go putt-putt golfing. Maybe we'll go play laser tag.
Really, whatever we can find,
parks.
we're going to try and make a DLC out of it. So that's exciting for you guys. Also, I'm going to be doing some other. I'm just going to throw in a little blatant advertising here, even though my channel's 500 times bigger than this one. But even I'll be chucking stuff onto the Captain Laser Guns channel as well.
Yeah.
And wow, what I just said made me sound super cocky. I'm so sorry.
The easiest way, if you want to keep up to date with us guys, when we're on our holiday, I'm pretty sure both of us will be tweeting quite regularly.
I will. I'll also be posting pictures of us while we're at the park, just general pictures of me while I'm at the park. I'm even thinking of throwing this up on my channel to get people excited about it as well, because theme parks are something that I'm very enthusiastic about. So I feel that I feel that this would be something that would benefit well on my channel.
Yeah. So if you want to follow either of us on Twitter, I'm at Mr. Luke Carroll.
I'm at Captain Laserguns.
And if you want to follow the brand new official Well Played Crew Twitter, which you'll never know which of us is posting on it, follow at Well Played Crew, the official Twitter home of the Well Played Crew. We'll try and post some interesting stuff up there whilst we are on holidays, because we got a lot coming up. This year it's going to be a very exciting year for Well Played, because later in the year we'll be going to 2 gaming conventions. So this is sort of our way of seeing how we can film real life stuff, what you guys like, what you don't like.
Oh man, I forgot about those 2 conventions. I'm just thinking, where am I going to get the money? Hopefully we can get a press pass to the EB Games Expo. Really, that would be very exciting. That would be our first sort of major press event, even if I could get one as Captain Laserguns and get you guys as my crew. But it would be amazing to be able to get one as the Well Played Crew. That would be awesome. Anyway, I think that sort of finishes up the podcast for this week.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Something a little bit different, but something we're both incredibly passionate about, as you may have been able to tell.
Remember, just as we're starting out, just leave comment in the comment section, feedback, in the comment section below. Let us know what you think about how these podcasts are going, things you would like to see, and just general stuff.
And
tell us about your day and how your dog's going.
most importantly, my question to you guys, would you like to see a Disney theme parks podcast? Please say yes.
I don't even think.
Well, I don't
Disney theme park. Even if they say no, we'll probably still do it.
Just for our own entertainment.
Anyway, guys, my name's Captain Laserguns.
I'm Mr. Luke Carroll.
And this is the Warplayed Podcast. Peace out. Stay sexy.
See you guys. Have fun at theme parks. Bye.